everyone, this is Rob Panic with Custom Action Figures 101. If it's your first time joining us, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. This week we're going to be doing a product review of the Warpaints Warpaints Mega Paint Set. Many of you may be familiar with the Warpaints. They're a very well-known name in acrylic paints, mostly in the war game painting communities for miniature models. And anyone that's familiar with miniature models know that there's a lot of details involved in painting those guys. But that translates well over to custom action figures because you have a good quality paint. Their brushes, their detail brushes, I mean, it says it all. Insane detail. I mean, these guys, they make some great products. And we're going to get in depth with them a little bit. Try them out, show you the quality of the paint, show you a few things I've painted with them. So anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy the review. Okay, so as I said earlier, today's review is of the Warpaints Mega Paint Set from the Warpaints. Now, just a little quick background on these guys. Anyone that's familiar with wargaming has probably heard of the Warpaints. Many of your wargaming products, they translate very well over to action figure customizing. The acrylic paints, you'll hear me say it 1,000 times. With action figures, your best bet is acrylic paints. A lot of the softer vinyls that action figures are made out of, especially like Star Wars figures, the arms and the lower legs on modern G.I. Joe figures. The vinyl it'll react with enamel paints. It will, you'll think it's dry, and then the next thing you know, 3 or 4 days later, it's tacky and it stays that way. And it's because of the reaction between the enamel and the actual vinyl that the part is made out of. So definitely, acrylics. High quality acrylics. When I first started out making custom figures, I hit up the Walmart 97-cent aisle, grabbed some craft paints, and went to town with them. It's not bad for beginning, but the more you get into the hobby, the more, the better quality figure you want to make, you're going to want quality paints. The cheaper paints, you're going to fight brush strokes. It's just such thick paints that it's just, you're going to beat your head against the wall. You're better off just going ahead and getting yourself some good quality paints. The Warpaints was founded by Bo Pinstoff and Jonas Faring. A couple of guys that worked for game workshops. As you can tell on their About Us section of their website here, Bo worked for 10 years with game workshops, was their head of marketing for 6 years, decided to go out on his own with Jonas and start their own business. Jonas owned and ran several successful retail stores in Scandinavia. He has a history of working for games workshops. Heavy Metal Team is one of their master painters. So these guys know paint. I mean, you can't ask for better than that. When I contacted them about this review, I actually got in contact and got a reply directly from Bo. Very nice guy. He was pretty excited to hear about our little hobby of action figure customizing here. And it was, as he put it, they had never made the connection before. So he was glad to jump in and help out. Super nice, super helpful guys. And, when you get in contact with the company to get yourself some of these paints, tell them I said hello. Tell Bo that Rob from Custom Action Figures 101 or Jonas, whichever one you get in contact with, let them know I sent you. They're really good guys, highly recommended. You know, when the owner of a company contacts you back about something and you know it's not pushed off onto another employee, that speaks volumes about a company. So like I said, highly recommended, great guys. Now let's get into the paints themselves a little bit. As I said, when I first started out with these guys, little, you know, I was thinking 2 ounces for 59 or 97 cents. You can't beat it. Well, just a little example. One thing you'll notice, really thick, separated even after that bottle being shook. You know, it's still got some separation in it, and that thickness is what's going to cause you to have brush strokes. I went from using craft paints to using Vallejo model color. You can tell the difference. And the consistency of the Vallejo. Goes on a lot smoother than the craft paints. So I'd already had a little experience using high quality paints. Nothing against Vallejo at all, very good paints. First thing I noticed when I got the box in from the Army Painter is, man, these guys hook you up with their mega paint set. I mean, you can pretty much buy this paint set, and with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 colors, you can do pretty much anything you need to do. My only negative I would put against the set is it only comes with a matte finish black and a matte finish white instead of a gloss black or gloss white. But you know what? I can get around that. I mean, you can go with a gloss finish coat over the top of it, and you do just fine. One thing that they do have, you'll notice the 100% match. They have their Army Painter primers that are 100% match to a lot of their paints. So for example, this is a crystal blue. They have a crystal blue spray primer that matches 100% pigment for pigment to their crystal blue paint. Now I'll show you here. We saw the Vallejo. This paint, it paints really smooth. I'm using one of their dry brushes here. Really good coverage with these paints. Now with any paints, you may run into getting a paint that's a little bit thick. That's not a big deal, not a problem. These paints thin really well. I do a lot of airbrushing, so I use actually windshield washer fluid for thinning, and it works great. I mean, you can put a couple of drops with it. It thins right out. But as you can see, I mean, straight out of the bottle. You'll test there. Really nice fluid paint, really nice pigments. And they've got a great selection of colors, a nice wide range of colors. The Mega Paint set, it comes with 34 war paints. You're going to get 29 colors of the Army Painter war paints. You're going to get several different shades of red, yellow, green, blue. There's a purple in there, there's orange in there, a couple of different shades of brown, and your matte black, your matte white, and some really cool colors, man. You've got here a goblin green, cool shade of green, as you can see there. I picked out a few, just a couple of standout colors here. The crystal blue I showed you earlier. There's an alien purple. You have lava orange, a leather brown. That's something that leather brown is a color that really handy for action figure customizers. And it's a nice natural leathery color. You have several different flesh tones. You have a tan flesh, as a barbarian flesh, a necrotic flesh for all you zombie guys out there. Nice rotten flesh for your zombies. They have a skeleton bone, and then, as I said, a lot of these have a 100% match primer available, so you can buy the rattle can, prime your figure. If you're going to use a base coat of primarily one of these colors, prime it with the color and it's a direct match. The Mega Paint set also comes with 5 different metallics: plate mail metallic, shining silver, greedy gold, weapon bronze, and gunmetal. Another really good color. I use a lot of gunmetal. And one of the things I was the most excited about trying are the Army Painter Quick Shade inks. Their basis for their Quick Shade is, it's a painting process that these guys came up with basically as a way to produce a whole bunch of miniatures really fast for your army. Their whole process is, you have your, say for example, your dragon red with your 100% color match. You prime it, you give it a base coat of your dragon red, your matte base coat, and then you'll come back in with your quick shade, give it a quick shade of the red tone, and these are just like your ink wash tints. Give it a quick shade of your red tone, come back. It also includes a anti-shine matte varnish. Give it a couple of coats of that, and it's just a way to kind of speed up the process and make it easier for painting. With action figure customizing, a lot of you guys are going to want to paint more detail into it. You know, you're going to have your base coat, but your tone, your quick shade tones, great for adding just an extra little depth to the figure. Gonna give you a little quick example here. The set also comes with their 3 most popular brushes. have the Wargamer Regiment, which is a good all-around brush for painting the base coat of your figure. You have the Wargamer Small dry brush for doing dry brushing, and it comes with their Wargamer Insane Detail, which is like the equivalent of about a 10-0 brush for really fine detail work. Now I'm going to give you a little example of their quick shade ink. I'm going to use the Regiment brush here. Got a little figure body that's primed white, and as you can see, the ink soaks up very well into your brush. Nice natural fiber brush, and just gets down into the crevices and cracks to give a nice detail, nice wash type detail. I'm going to show you guys a couple of things I've painted with the Warpaints here in a few minutes. But this is just, a quick idea to give you an idea how it gets down into the ink, seeps down into your cracks and details, and you can come back after it's given a few minutes, say 15 minutes or so to dry, come back and wipe that off, and that's gonna it's gonna take off the top part of it and leave all your little ink down in your cracks and crevices to show the detail of your figure. Another thing I really like about the Warpaints, they come in a dropper style bottle. Which it helps you save paint in the long run because you don't have as much air exposure as like Citadel and Tamiya pots, where you're popping it open and your paint's drying out because it's exposed to the air. And with this, it's got the little dropper. You put just what you need. If you only need a couple of drops, and with good high quality paints, a lot of times you can get by with just putting a couple of drops on your palette, and it goes a long way. Thin coats, several thin coats is your best bet over one thick coat, and this definitely works well and makes that easier. Just to give you a little idea here, find another little spot. As you can see, you've got very good coverage with the Warpaint. Goes on really smooth, really bright pigments. I can't say enough good about this paint. As I emailed Bo and said, I'm in love. Really love this paint set. You also, they give you a quick guide to using the Warpaints, techniques, tricks, and tips. A lot of you may know my Facebook group, Custom Action Figures Tips, Tricks, and Trade. I'm all about tips and tricks, man. Whatever you can pick up along the way to help you out with your hobby. Learn all you can, and they've got some really good tricks, tips in here. Everything from preparation. They give you a nice little introduction about painting as a science. Preparation, and this explains how their color primers 100% match with their colored paints. Gives you a little quick rundown on the different brushes. The Warpaints water-based colors. Gives you a chart of their available Warpaints. A little breakdown into painting base coats and colors. Mixing colors. And as I was saying, the Warpainter bottle allows you to administer precise amounts for mixing. So you're not guessing at scooping out how much, and you know, if I scooped out the same amount of the other, you can look and you can see what you've, you know, each little drop. So you can say if you need 4 drops of green and 2 drops of yellow to get the color you're looking for, next time you go to mix it, you can reproduce that almost exactly because you do it by drops. And then they go into the quick shading. One of the things that they have available, they have the big cans of quick shade ink for like the process I was telling you about earlier, where you paint your base coat and then you'll actually dip into quick shade ink to get your highlights and stuff. Probably not going to be, you know, something you're going to do as an action figure customizer. That's something more along the lines for creating an army for wargaming. You're going to want to use a brush and actually get down into where you're wanting to apply your quick shade. But that gives you, you know, a great deal for speed painting, as they call it. Then a little information on dry brushing. You know, taking a lighter color and coming back and dry brushing over the top of your final ink highlighted paint job. They give you a highlight chart to give you an idea of good highlights to use for the best effect when you're painting. And then some information on detailing and doing some edging. They've got several sets available. Another thing I like about the Army Painter is they have packages put together so you can get, you know, everything you need in one set. You've got the Mega Paint set, which comes with all of your quick shadings, your metallics, and your 29 different colors. They also have a starter set that's got some primary colors. You've got just a quick shade ink set. I mean, all the way up to a full hobby set, where you get a mat, you get sprue cutters, you get tweezers, you get brushes, glues, green stuff, you know, everything you would need. And it's a great way to save money. This Army Painter Mega Paint set, you can pick them up on Amazon for less than 90 bucks. And that's a really good deal considering how much you actually get, and versus, you know, spending $3.50 each. You figure that up over 34 different paints, 7 different ink tones, and a varnish. You can see definitely where the savings are at by being able to buy a set with everything all in there together. So, as I said, another great plus for the Army Painter. Okay, here are a couple of figures in a vehicle that I painted with the Army Painter paints. This is a Fumbles figure. Any of you that are familiar with the Cartoon Network's Adult Swim, Robot Chicken, one of their skits they did was the Cobra Sniper. Cobra Commander, I actually named him Trouser Snake because he had some nice trousers. But as it turned out, it was always fumbles. Another figure I did, and as I was saying earlier about the blacks, this is just, I mean, it's their matte black that I just went back and put a gloss overcoat, and it turned out with a nice glossy finish. Come back with some metallic over the top of that, mixed a little bit of the matte black together with some gunmetal, got a nice metallic black shade. Came back in with their chainmail metal and shining silver to add the boots and the details, and I'm very pleased with the way it came out. This is another figure I made actually for the G.I. Joe All-Stars project that is here on SERPENTOR'S Lair and on OG13.com. A lot of you guys that are familiar with my work know that I'm a Star Wars fanatic, but I'm just as much of a G.I. Joe fan as I am a Star Wars fan. So this is a G.I. Joe Star Wars crossover figure. This is a version of the Dreadnought Buzzer done as a Star Wars bounty hunter, and this guy was done all with the Warpaints. Used some of the leather browns with a little bit of the oak brown mixed in with it. I used their cobalt blue with the blue ink shade for the pants. Come back in with some of their quick tone dark shade inks for highlights on the hair, highlights on the cloth and the body. Use the metallics for the boots. Use some of the quick shade inks for the flames for the muzzle flash. You know, can't say enough good about the Army Painter. And both of those were painted using Army Painter brushes on top of I airbrushed the base coat, come back in and did all the details with the Army Painter brushes. And we've got this guy. This is an Avatar grinder vehicle that was pretty much just a stock vehicle that I came in and airbrushed with the Army Painter paints. They work very well with my airbrush. A lot of companies have airbrush specific paints, but all you gotta do is just, you know, thin it out a little bit. The consistency of milk is what they say. They say the consistency of milk. I say if it'll spray through the gun, then you can get a good coverage with it. That's the consistency you want. And as you can see, came back in with the did some dry brushing and some details with the metallics using the Army Painter brushes. Can't say enough good about these things, man. Love these paints. And with a good quality paint, I mean, you can get good quality results with good quality paint. And the Army Painter, they definitely make a good quality paint. And that's going to wrap it up for the Army Painter Mega Paint Set review. Pros, too many pros to list. Great selection of colors, the quick tone shading inks, good metallics, really good pigments, good coverage with the paint. It flows well. The only con I can say would be the only having a matte black and a matte white. But as you saw with the Fumbles figure, you can get over that with just, you know, putting a little bit of a gloss clear over the top of it. I highly suggest it. For the money, you can't beat it. You know, $90 to get 34 paints, 7 inks, an anti-shade varnish, and 3 brushes that are gonna, you know, be very useful to you. You can't go wrong. On top of that, you know, a couple of really nice guys that know about painting, you know, that own the company. Give them a call, email them, look for them on eBay, visit their site, thearmypainter.com. Great guys. Get in touch with them, get yourself some of these paints. Thanks again for joining us here on Custom Action Figures 101 for our customizing product reviews. I'm going to be back next weekend with a customizer review. One of my friends on Facebook, a member of our groups, got a review coming up from Byron Hernandez, the Hawaiian. He's going to be doing a review of one of the figures, and we're going to have our 10 questions with a customizer Q&A with him. So be sure to tune in for that, and check in with us every Tuesday for Tutorial Tuesdays. We got a good one coming up for you next week. Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to give the video some love, subscribe to the channel, check us out on Facebook, SERPENTOR'S Lair. We've got a couple of pages and a group on Facebook. My group, Custom Action Figures, Tips, Tricks, and Trade. Man, that's a mouthful. And look for galacticplastics.net on Facebook, and visit me at galacticplastics.net for custom action figures and custom water slide decals. Anyway, this is Rob Panic signing off, and as always, may the force be with you.